Hello and welcome to A Year of Hitchcock Movies. We are your hosts, Jeff and Diane, and this is movie number 32, Strangers on a Train from 1951. And after 4 movies in a row that were not successes, tonight we have a director in need of a hit movie. Now, we liked last week's Stage Fright, and I'll bet you did too, but audiences back then did not, and it wasn't successful. Under Capricorn, for a lot of good reasons, like it was boring, was not a success. Rope, even though present-day audiences would probably cite it as one of their, standout Hitchcock films, was not successful, and neither was the Paradine Case because it was too long and it was a bomb. So that's 4 in a row, and so tonight, Strangers on a Train. And if you've seen it, you know what's coming, but if you haven't, don't spoil it for everyone else. You've probably heard of it, and you've probably heard of it because of the movie Throw Mama from the Train, which was that Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito movie, black comedy from 1988 or something, which basically, it's not really a remake of tonight's movie, it just alludes to it, and it even has Danny DeVito's character going to see Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train in the 80s, and they show clips of Strangers on a Train. So go see that, it's hilarious, go see it if you haven't seen it, but wait till you've seen this one, and you'll enjoy it, but yeah, Alfred Hitchcock needs a hit. Warner Brothers is still footing the bill, producing this film, and still completely stays out of the way, almost completely, and lets Alfred do what Alfred does. After Stage Fright, Alfred Hitchcock just waited for the next story idea to come, and come it did, in the form of a book called Strangers on a Train, written in about 1950, so it was new, and he loved it. He thought it would be perfect to adapt, so he had his people approach the author and be all hush-hush about it, not say it was Alfred Hitchcock, and purchased the rights to it for about $7,500. Now, if that doesn't seem like a lot of money, it wasn't. 10 years earlier, David O. Selznick bought the rights to Rebecca for $50,000. So just to give you some perspective, the book Strangers on a Train was written by Patricia Highsmith, and she was a little irritated that when she found out that it was Alfred Hitchcock, that she only got $7,500. But hey, it was her first book, and it was turned into a Hitchcock movie, so that's some pretty good publicity. She wrote a lot of great books. In particular, she wrote books with a character named Tom Ripley, and that was turned into a movie in 1999 called The Talented Mr. Ripley. She wrote 5 books about Tom Ripley, and Ripley's Game, and there are some other ones. Kind of wish Alfred Hitchcock had done The Talented Mr. Ripley. But, and the Talented Mr. Ripley, that's actually one of Diane's favorite movies. It's Matt Damon, Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and so that's who she is. But yeah, so they got the rights to this book, and he and Alma and their friend Whitfield Cook, who did some writing on last week's Stage Fright, basically got together and did a treatment for the film. And Hitchcock at this point really wanted a great author. He wanted a really well-known author to come and write this script. And believe it or not, they really found it difficult to find someone who was good because no one wanted to do it. No one wanted to work with Alfred Hitchcock. That sounds insane today, but it was true. And so they. And maybe it was because after 4 commercial failures they didn't want to work with him, but finally they got Raymond Chandler. And Raymond Chandler, if you don't know, he wrote the book The Big Sleep, which was turned into the movie with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, a great movie, and he wrote the movie Lady in the Lake, or rather the book, but he did write the screenplay to Double Indemnity, which is a great movie, so he was certainly a big name. So he wrote a script for Alfred Hitchcock. He was asked to rewrite it because Hitchcock didn't like it. And Hitchcock, he basically fought and argued with Hitchcock, and Alfred Hitchcock fought and argued with him, and they did not see eye to eye. And although the opening credits say screenplay by Raymond Chandler, basically none of what he wrote is in the film, like 0. Instead, a researcher who worked under Ben Hecht, because you knew I was going to say Ben Hecht, named Shenji Ormond. Sorry, Chenji, if that's not how you say her name. She wrote practically all of this movie. All of it. Alma wrote some of the dialogue. She's not credited. And someone named Barbara Keon, who worked with the Hitchcocks in the Selznick years, wrote some too. And Ben Hecht actually did write some of the bit towards the end, of course. He did this. And there you have it. So now there's no need to summarize the plot in this movie, but I do want to say who was in it. Farley Granger is one of the two stars in it. We all remember him from Rope. And again, these are basically the two movies he's most known for, Rope and Strangers on a Train. Not bad. Also, the other main character is Robert Walker. And Robert Walker used his boyish good looks in many a movie in the 40s. He was an up-and-coming star. But he married Phyllis Isley in 1939, and Phyllis Isley was also an actor. I think they were in acting school together. She was an actress who was later renamed Jennifer Jones, and she later was remarried to David O. Selznick, who renamed her Jennifer Jones, much to the despair of one Robert Walker, something that he never recovered from 1943 onwards, until finally, due to an accidental barbiturate overdose, he did die in 1951, only 2 months after tonight's film was released. He was 32 years old. So these are the two big stars in Strangers on a Train. Also here, just for fun, is Leo G. Carroll. He was in 6 Hitchcock movies. This is number 5 of 6. So that's fun. And in her second Alfred Hitchcock movie, we have Patricia Hitchcock. The story goes that her agent called her because, as we saw in last week's Stage Fright, she was in acting school in London, and called her with the news that there was a really good part for her in her father's new movie they were going to make. So she ended up interviewing for the part and doing a screen test and interviewed with Hitchcock, and it turned out that she was just really good for the part. So that's fun. The music here is written by Dmitri Tiomkin, who did the music for 4 Hitchcock movies, Shadow of a Doubt, this one, and actually the next 2 movies, I Confess and Dial M for Murder, so they worked well together. And talking about working well together, boy, there's a new addition to the Hitchcock family here, and his name is Robert Burks, ASC. And I always used to wonder, when the credits come up and it says ASC, I always wonder what that stands for, and now I know it's the American Society of Cinematographers, because he was the cinematographer who works on Strangers on a Train. And boy, we've seen how important it was with Hitchcock to get the shot right, because he had it completely done in his brain, and it was difficult for other people to get what he wanted. Well, not with Robert Burks, because they really worked well together. And well, tonight starts a collaboration where they will work together for the next 10 films. In fact, they'll work together on every movie up to 1963's Marnie, except for Psycho. That's pretty impressive. That's 11 out of the next 13 films. That doesn't make any sense. That's a lot of movies. But anyways, Robert Burks, so very cool. I think they worked well together because, what turns out is this is going to begin a decade where Alfred Hitchcock has been said could do no wrong. Well, almost no wrong, and we're about to start that decade. So, okay, there's a cameo to look for, and it's a good one, like last week's Stage Fright. That's fun. And so here we go. So we'll watch this one. We're looking forward to it. From 1951, Strangers on a Train. Let's watch.